Welcome to your weekly guide Light of Islam. I am Aisha Ahmed.
As Muslims, we know that in Islam, time is a very good and important commodity that we have.
Believe in the angels of God as one of the six articles of faith.
Karma
Very
is the main
important when
form
we
rows,
are
and how
discussing
the rows are made is such that the Imam stands in
for you
front,
to sit down
and then
and
right
connect.
behind him.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Light of Islam. Keep watching Light of Islam NTA channel on YouTube.
Hello there and welcome. It's another beautiful day in Abuja, and you are onto Good Morning Abuja show coming to you from the Unity Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja. My name is Neka Igwe. Well, a brand new day again and another opportunity for you to get it right. Yes, you can turn those failures into achievements and your sadness into joy. But first, you have to get up, show up, and go put in the work to make it a beautiful day ahead. Welcome on board. Well, you know how we always start it off with our motivational moment. Yes, our coach this morning is Pastor Cornelius, and he's standing by.
Building self-confidence from within. Confidence is the conqueror's backbone. What do I mean by that? Behind the victory of every conqueror is confidence. Confidence is so important that many times it goes beyond skill. The best fighter doesn't always win. It's the confident one that wins. I remember that some students will get into the examination hall and see the examination paper and they already fainted. Many of them go blank. Why? Confidence is not there. But you see another student who is so confident, who is even seeing questions that he doesn't know the answer to, yet is composed and will end up scoring better marks than the one who wasn't confident. I've even seen very intelligent students who have failed because they lacked confidence. Confidence is so important. The Bible says, cast not away your confidence, which has great reward of recompense. So confidence has rewards. Confidence produces great things in the lives of those who have it or those who manifest it. So you cannot afford to be timid. You cannot afford not to be confident. But confidence must be built from within. The strength you see on the outside is built from within. So a man is not confident by the way he just looks, but basically because there is something stirring from within him. Confidence is important that you must build it. As a matter of fact, only the confident will make way in life. because those who are not sure of what they want will be denied of what they really want. They'll be denied by several limitations, but the confident will keep at it until the result is delivered. You can build self-confidence by realizing that God made you and He made you the best you can be. You are not inferior to anybody. You are not less than anybody. Inasmuch as you must not carry superiority complex around, you must also not carry inferiority complex around. You are not inferior to anybody.
Yes, indeed. Self-confidence can be built from within. Thank you, Pastor Cornelius. Up next is our exercise corner. Well, we're going to bring you a hip-hop workout session. Take a look and make sure you join in.
So ladies, hit me up. They want to bust it down too. Female version. Extreme hip hop style. Ladies, let's go.
I drop it low, make it roll, back to the flow, bend it over, touch toes, hands, knees, film, exposed, bust it down, 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 two tracks, drop it down, two tracks, drop it now, show it, twerk, no she bad, pretty face, color, big face, got it, 60, feel, my block, is throwing, they know it, kept throwing, slow motion, she roll it, my flex, now throw it, more chips, young, rich, me, and yours, on it, scope it, show it, float it, do it, for me, bust it, open, drop it, low, make it, roll, back, to the flow, bend it, over, touch, toes, hands, knees, elbow, exposed, bust it down, 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 no jack, bust it down, bust it down, bust it down, bust it down, sweet lips, you a bad little, I said you're Sunday, you a bad little, till she close, you can I do this shit all on my bitch. My costume on the bullshit. Really in the ghetto, feeling yet to nothing. I just beat the gas. I'm with my niggas. I'm tryna get the dog. Killing in the back. Talking, that ain't me, y'all. I'm not came for the section, man. See y'all. Just got my ring girl. Yo, I love touch. You call your bodies for a turn it low, make it roll back.
you have it. And yes, it's always fun, to exercise with a little music in the background. Keeps you motivated to go through it all. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll go straight into what we have for you today. You will be educated and enlightened if you stay with us after the break.
Us to say our goodbyes on the program. As usual, I remain your host the most, Omaride with Erese, and I'll always be here with my bestie.
Je m'appelle Oguntayo Olamposi Justina.
Speaking French now, from Jordan to Sweden.
Adios.
Good evening. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
I will celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
The Unity Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Well, some time ago on the show, we talked about Nigerian laws on wills and estates, and unfortunately we didn't have a lot of time, but thankfully today Barrister Momosani Salawo is on ground again to keep educating us on what the Nigerian law says on wills and estate. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome, and it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
I want you to quickly refresh our memory again. What are the requirements for a valid will in Nigeria?
For a will to be valid, one, it must be in writing. It must be properly documented. There's the requirement, the person, the testator, that's the person making the will, must be of sound mind.
Okay.
Yes, they must have that. They call it the testamentary capacity. Must have that testamentary capacity. It should be in writing. There must be 2 witnesses, a minimum of 2 witnesses. Signed, as the testator must sign the will in the presence of 2 witnesses. Yes, there are exceptions to that anyway. I think the only exception is in the military or a sea law in the on the sea, like I explained the last time. But those are the main core criteria.
So the things that make a will valid.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any things that the Nigerian customary law, dictates? What is the role of Nigerian customary law when it comes to inheritance?
Okay. Yeah. In the role of customary law plays a lot of plays a role in the sense that there are certain properties that are divisible under customary law, and there are some that customary law does not permit that you should give out through wills, or they are designed how it should be given. The Wills Act actually gave everybody the freedom to prepare a will, but also there is a limitation from the Wills Act that limits the content. What you can demise, what you can give by will, can only be must not be what you cannot, or what your customs and tradition have restricted you from giving out. Let's assume there's a family house, and the family house is supposed to belong to the elder or the prince. Let's look at a royal family for example, and they say, okay, the prince is supposed to inherit so and so under customary law. The king cannot will that particular property that customary law has restricted to only the prince to another person.
Like the crown.
Like the crown, yes, and all that. And if you see in the East, we used to have that kind of crisis back in those days, where the customary law limits ladies from not inheriting, and the law permits ladies to inherit until that matter was rested in the Supreme Court of the yeah, so those customary law plays a role in how what can be demised, what you can give out through your will, and what you cannot give out through your will. And also in Islamic law, also Islamic law in Nigeria falls under customary law. Yes, when you are doing whatever, what Sharia law regulates the Islamic how a Muslim should give out his property, or how a Muslim's property should be divided or given out after his death. And you can only in law you can only actually will out like 1/3 of your properties by will as a Muslim. You cannot. The other part is going to be given out in accordance with Islamic
Injunction.
yes, Islamic
It's
law.
not right.
Uh, those are
That's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. That's what they call customs and traditions. You get that's why it comes under customary law. You get it's the custom of the Muslims. As a Muslim, you are already agreed that this is how you are living your life in line with the dictates of Islam. Yes, as a traditional person, or if you are in a traditional settings, you already assume that you are going to live your life in line with customary law. And like wills, most of the time, for a will to for a person to actually demise his or his properties by will, most times you have to be a marriage under the act. You get and that's your marriage must be in layman terms. There's a court marriage. You understand? Yes, yes. Otherwise, that's what they call a marriage under the act. Is for you to actually devise your property according to will. Your marriage must be one that is under
As an individual.
yes, as an individual woman. Yes, you can.
For as an individual, and for it to be honored under the Nigerian law.
Yes, for the law to regulate it.
Yes.
Yes, your marriage must have come under the law also. If your marriage is under customs and traditions, you definitely the custom and tradition that will regulate how your property will be devised after. If it is under Islamic law, it is Islam is the Sharia law that will determine it. If it's under the act, like the church, you just want to do in church, they give you the marriage certificate
registry,
or the marriage registry. You get most of the time at that stage you can actually determine the law now determines how your property will be demised and devised. And if at all, as at that point, you don't have a will, also, that is when you start talking of a letter of administration and all that. Okay. So that's
wow. I'm actually happy to note that women can now inherit, property from maybe their father's houses or something like that. Their father's
those days supposed to be one of the aspects. Yeah, has been laid to rest.
Nice. Now in Nigeria, if someone dies, without a will in Nigeria, how are the properties distributed?
Like I said, it depends on the person's lifestyle. Let me say, when I say lifestyle, I mean his customs, tradition, or religion most of the time. Okay. If you're a Muslim, it will be your properties are going to be distributed or divided according to Islamic laws and tradition. If you're married, Muslim, most of the time is in line with the customary marriage. The property most likely is going to be devised in line with your custom and tradition, the custom and traditions of the people. But if it is, like I also said, a marriage under the act, that's when the letter of the administration comes into play. That's when the probate comes in.
Speaking of probate, tell me about the process of probate in Nigeria.
Normally, if you have a will, your will, if you do make a will, you have a copy is kept in the probate registry normally. So whenever something happens, that's where you get it from. Then you don't need the rule of the registry there is already cut out straight up. But if it now happens that a person dies and there is no will, then the law of administration of estates in Nigeria now sets in. There's an act that regulates the administration of estates in Nigeria that automatically sets in. And that way, it's listed on who according to, let's say, hierarchically, yes, on who and who.
Like if the deceased has
a wife, automatically it falls to the letter of administration. It falls on the wife to get the letter of administration on behalf of, if at all a son and all that. That's how from there's a hierarchy to it. And if this one is not there, this is the one that will take over. But mostly it starts from the wife or the husband.
Interesting. This will something is always dicey. Can cause a lot of friction too. Is it possible that a will can be challenged in court in Nigeria? And what are the things that can give rise?
Yes, the will can be challenged in court. We've had issues of wills being challenged in court most of the time. Mostly, if even in the probate registry, when there is a room for you to actually question the authenticity of the will. There are grounds people rely on, like we talked about on the validity. When you were saying what makes a valid will just now, the testamentary capacity we're talking about, people go ahead to challenge the mental capacity. Yes, the corpus mentis. They call it corpus mentis.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, the people go ahead to challenge the mental capacity of the person making the will, the testator making the will, as at the time the will was made, whether he was influenced, whether he did it with his own free mind and all that. But you that is challenging the will, normally you are the one that will bring enough evidence to prove that the person had no mental capacity at that time
to put it up,
to prepare a valid will. And it is for the court to look at the facts, the evidence you have brought, and see whether the person actually had a valid will at that time. There's I think one Johnson versus Maja, I think there's a case like that talks about all these things. One of also talking about the testation, the way you get attestation of the will, how you sign the will. Like we talked about, there must be two witnesses and 3 or more. Okay, there must be two witnesses or minimum of 2 most of the time. And if you don't have
2 or more,
yes, it can be 3. There are some situations where it can be 3. Let's assume, without digressing before coming back, let's assume one of the witnesses is also someone that was given a gift in the will. Normally, as a witness, you are not entitled to
partake
to anything from the will.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so your witnesses must not necessarily be blood relations.
Yes, not necessarily blood relations. Anyone that witnesses your will is not entitled to a benefit from the will.
Really?
Yes, normally. So it's only there are some few exceptions, like I was explaining. For such a person to be entitled, it means that without that person's signature, the will still be valid. So in that situation, you can have 3 witnesses. So if you remove that person's signature, the other 2 will still make the will valid. So the person becomes entitled to benefiting from the will. And things like that. And to even make it how strict that thing is, even the spouse of the person self that is witnessing your will cannot be given a gift from your will.
Really?
So to tell you how strict the issue of will is, how regulated it is. The witnesses are the ones that can be called on tomorrow I don't know.
But let me ask, the witnesses may not necessarily know the content of
No,
the
they
will.
don't need to know. They don't know the only thing the witness
It's just
attests to
him
is
and
that
his
he was this
legal
party
advisor.
yes, this particular document was this will was signed in my presence.
Presence.
You understand me, by this
Dated.
person. You understand? That's what the witness needs to do to confirm that that person, the person making the will, as at the time he was alive, he made that will and signed it in their presence. That's the role of the witness. They don't need to know anything about the content of the will. No.
Let's talk about clauses, to inheritances. Like some people will say, you can inherit, you're my son, I'm leaving this to you, but as at the time you will read this will, I need you to be married with a son. Or some can also go ahead and say, okay, I'm leaving this behind for my wife on the ground that she must never remarry or change, take up a new surname. Tell me about these clauses.
Yes, the will is made by it's the owner of his properties. Yes, as at the time he was alive, and that's why he's expected to be of a sound mind when making his will. The gifts in a will, they call them gifts. You can they are how they call it, different types, ways you can actually devise all those things to people without anybody controlling you. You are of your own free mind. This what you are explaining just now are called conditional.
Like a man that had only daughters, for instance.
Yes, what you're saying now, they are called conditional gifts. Before the rights of ownership moves to you, from that moves to you completely, you must fulfill that condition. Yes, and the person making the will knows why he puts that condition there. As at that time, you can the lawyers or whoever is reading the will cannot actually come and question why that condition was put there, because when the will is being read, he's already late. You get so. It's a valid, in essence, what I'm saying is conditions in a will is they are recognized by law. You understand me? Yes, the conditions in a will are recognized by law, and they are not really arbitrary. And the man says, okay, my wife should not remarry. If she remarries, she loses the right. And she forfeits, so and so. Good. It is now left for you as the wife to either forfeit or stay. If you say my son should not will not take over this until he's 18 years old, he definitely nobody will take over it until the person is until that boy is 18 years old.
I was going to ask.
Yes, but there are conditions like that. They appoint people. You understand me? They appoint people that take over the trustees in charge of the estate. You understand? They run the estate pending the time when that condition is fulfilled.
Right.
You get, if you don't meet up, until you meet up with that condition, those trustees keep running the estate on behalf of the owner, on behalf of the estate, and reserve the profits or whatever is made from it in running the estate. But once you meet up the condition, it becomes yours.
Seeing that ours is a patriarchal society, Nigeria, Africa, there's this male child preference thing,
Yeah.
So if a man has all girls, for instance, and says, okay, I'm willing my estate and my companies to my daughter, but before she inherits it, she must present a suitor or a husband. Now, if she eventually gets married, who has, the better access or control over the estate? Is it still her or her husband?
It is her. The property was willed to her. It was devised to her, not her husband. The only thing that was the only condition, that's what they call it, that's what we explained just now, is a condition. The condition for her being taking ownership of that particular gift that was being devised to her is that she should get married, not that the husband will become the owner of. No. It's a condition that was given to her that okay, get married and the property becomes yours.
Thank you so much for coming. I've been speaking with Barrister Momosani Silao on Nigerian law on wills and estate. Well, who knows? It might just be you taking that step to ensure that we keep the peace long after your demise. Stay with us. It is still Good Morning Abuja, the Friday edition, and that means the weekend is upon us. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Eyes for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to your weekly guide, Light of Islam. I am Aisha Ahmed.
As Muslims, we know that in Islam, time is a very good and important commodity that we have.
Believe in the angels of God as one of the 6 articles of faith.
Samaism in form rules, and how the rules are made is such that the Imam stands in front and then right behind him.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Light of Islam. Keep watching Light of Islam NTA channel.
Za is for zakah, to cure our greed, when we give our money to those in need. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon each and every one of us. It's another fantastic Friday evening, and you're welcome to NTA Channel 5 Abuja.
First of all, you train yourself, you educate yourself, then you educate your family, and then the community at large.
Fundamentals of Islam Live, showing 7:30 p.m. every Friday on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. Join us.
Thank you for staying with us and keeping faith with us on the show this morning. Well, education has evolved over the years, especially in today's digital era. So my next discussion is going to center around, how far education has come in Nigeria, with emphasis, of course, in today's digital world. My guest is a policy advocate as well as a literacy specialist. Let's welcome Abdul Samad Isa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. I want you to start by telling us a little bit about your background, and how you came about to be involved with literacy, especially for children.
Good morning, and once again, thank you for hosting me on the show. Like you said, my name is Isa Abdusamad Muhammad. I'm the programs manager at Elmi Children's Fund, a dedicated non-governmental organization with HQ here in the FCT and field offices across some of the states within the nation. I started working in the developmental sector around 2019 when I started working with Elmi Children's Fund, which is an implementing partner to the United Nations Population Fund. And that is where my policy advocate and literacy journey starts. Because the organization works with marginalized children that doesn't have access to educational opportunities, children that are marginalized, children from hard-to-reach communities. And we designed educational programs in order to give an opportunity for these children to acquire knowledge and skills. So that is where my literacy journey started, and from there we started developing. When I joined, the organization was new, and we are just working to see how we can develop new programs that can cater for these marginalized children, because we know the number of children that are out of school in Nigeria is very high. The percentage of learning poverty, even within the educational system, is very high. Children at the age of 10 that cannot read, write, or compute simple arithmetic. Yeah, and so we wanted to see how we can contribute in bridging that gap to help these children acquire these certain skills. So that's where my journey starts as a literacy advocate. Though from the university, I studied community development and literacy, so I'm still working.
Wow, very interesting there. We grew up, seeing children being taught ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, basics, how to read and write and communicate and all that. But in today's era, why is it so important that we should make sure children get digital skills?
Okay, so if we are to trace the history of my education in Nigeria, or foundation of education in Nigeria, we can trace it into three stages: pre-colonial, colonial, and post-colonial era. The pre-colonial era, that is before the coming of the white people in Nigeria, and the colonial era during the white people, and then post-independence era. So what happened after 1960 when Nigeria got its independence? So the nationalists then sat down and think the education system that we inherited from the white people are not tantamount or in line with the yearnings, aspirations, and the overall or general philosophy of the Nigerian society, and therefore there is a need to design an education that is in accordance with the philosophy, norms, culture, values, aspirations, and yearnings of the Nigerian people. And that is when the nationalists started to plan for the 1969 National Curriculum Conference, which gave birth to so many recommendations, and the 1977 National Policy on Education. So that is how we start to design education system that can adequately satisfy the educational needs of the Nigerian society. From then, we got the 1977 National Policy on Education, which encapsulated the 5 cardinal objectives of the Nigerian society, that Nigeria want to be a free and democratic society, a just and egalitarian nation, a united, strong and self-reliant nation, a great and dynamic economy, and a land full of bright opportunities for all citizens. And okay, the nationalists said after developing these 5 cardinal objectives, okay, how can we now achieve these objectives? What is the strategic roadmap for the attainment of these 5 cardinal objectives? We said education. Once Nigeria become a literate society, these 5 cardinal objectives will be achieved. That Nigeria will have a united, strong, and self-reliant nation. Nigeria will be a land full of bright opportunities for all citizens. If we have a standard education system that can adequately satisfy our educational needs. This is the strategic roadmap for the attainment of these 5 cardinal objectives. What if our education system fails? That means these objectives will not be attained, will not be achieved. So from then, the education system, the 1977 national policy introduced the 6-3-3-4 system. So after that, okay, the education system was very good. In some schools, still white people were teaching. The teachers there, the teacher salary was very good. Once you are recruited, you will have a house where you live with your family as a teacher with a very good salary, remuneration, and welfare. But along the line, Nigeria's population with all other challenges began to grow, and the system remained stagnant. Our curriculum system remains stagnant. We don't update the curriculum time to time because over time, there are a lot of changes in our life, within our society. Just like we said, we are now into a digital era.
Interesting. And I like the fact that you're stepping it down to children. And you did mention disadvantaged children in your intro. Speaking of which, what does bridging the gap mean to you in that regard? With emphasis to literacy and digital skills.
Okay, thank you very much for asking this important question. Like I said, there are a lot of reports out there but we know the number of out-of-school children is almost 20 million. If we look at the literacy rates of some states, Katsina sits at 10%, Kano 38%, Imo 96%, Lagos 96%. And if you look at the overall enrollment rates, in 2023, I think the gross enrollment rate, according to the UBE data, is 47 million. We have 20 million that are out of school. We are talking about the gaps now.
That is serious.
20 million children, school-age children that are out of school. And then we are talking about teaching and learning materials within the school, infrastructure, quality of teaching. So we can break these challenges in terms of quality, equity, and access. So if we talk about equality, we talk about the available teaching and learning materials within the schools. The National Policy on Education states that at the primary level, the teacher-student ratio should be 1:35. At the upper basic, junior secondary school, the teacher-student ratio should be 1:40. But we know that there are primary schools where you will see a population of 200 pupils in a single class. One teacher is handling 200 pupils.
That is
enormous. In a class. These are the gaps. And this is all about data. How many pupils do we have? How many students do we have in school? How many blocks?
We're talking public schools now.
Public schools. How many blocks of classroom do we need to attend to 1:35 in the primary schools and 1:40 in the junior secondary school in order to bridge this gap? Okay, what certain skills do we need to retrain these teachers in order for them to deliver quality education? What sort of remuneration and welfare do we give to this? Because everybody is running away from the job. It's very obvious. Everybody is running away from teaching. It's very obvious. Because I think it's the last resort of the day now.
That's a sad story for another day.
Yes, so it's the last resort for some. Yeah, it's when you look for a job and you don't get, that's when you start to teach. So, but how can we now motivate others to venture into teaching, improve the system, improve the welfare, improve the quality of teaching, improve the teaching and learning materials, teaching and learning aids, integrate technology into the curriculum, provide technological laboratories in primary and post-primary schools? These are the gaps, and these are the steps in which to bridge these gaps. If you look at the highest allocation to the education sector in the last 10 years, is 10.7 in 2015. 10.7 revenue allocation to the education sector, 10.7. This is very alarming. UNESCO's recommendation was 20%. OPEC, as we as members of OPEC, the recommendation to be an OPEC member is to allocate 25% of our annual budget to education. But in the last 10 years, we only allocated 10.7% as the highest in the last 10 years. But though Universal Basic Education Commission is doing its best, getting its funding from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund is doing well, getting its funding from the 2% from the accessible profit from all registered companies in Nigeria. But then the government needs to increase funding. We must make education to be a priority of the Nigerian society if we really wanted to thrive.
Interesting. Tell me about consequences, in today's world where everything is increasingly online and digitalized. What are the consequences for children who are not able to access these skills?
Okay, just like you mentioned, everything is digitalized as of today.
Yeah, I even hear they are going to be taking common entrance exams,
computer-based
CBTs, and all of that from primary school very soon.
So now, a student that has never had access to a practical class on computer literacy,
basic
computer literacy, how can you subject that student, that pupil, overnight to conduct to sit for a computer-based common entrance examination? To find, the student will even find it very hard to even navigate on how to, even if he knows the answers. So where does it start? It starts from the school. How can we now equip these laboratories? with the necessary equipment, necessary facilities within these schools in order to provide these skills for these children, because we know that technology now is the order of the day. And in the coming years, if you are not technologically literate, if you are not digitally literate, you will definitely be left out, and this will just continue to perpetuate the cycles of poverty and digital illiteracy among our children.
Here's a call to all the spirited individuals out there, uncles and aunties who would love to mentor. Here's your opportunity. Now, before we go, if you had one word for the world, still speaking on this issue, if you had an advice for the entire society, what would it be?
Okay, we must make education to be our priority. With the level of how technology is shaping the world, we must integrate technology, digital literacy into the Nigerian educational curriculum. Like I said, the government needs to increase funding within the educational sector. Funding is very, very key, because most of the challenges that we have, about 80% of the challenges that we have, funding, increased funding can solve them.
Okay.
So government has to increase federal allocation, revenue allocation to the education ministry. 10.7 is very, very low. Like I said earlier, UNESCO's recommendation is 20%. OPEX recommendation is 25% of our annual overall budget to the education ministry. And we are at the highest in the last 10 years, like I said, is 10.7. Increased funding to the educational sector, and there needs to be, we need to have a new national curriculum conference that we can invite all educational stakeholders within the country and development partners to sit down and review the current curriculum, so that we can adequately integrate digital literacy into it, in order to bridge the current digital divide within the country. And
concerned NGOs?
Yes. I mentioned development partners.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
and
you
local
very
and
much.
International NGOs.
It's been very insightful speaking with you. Thank you for coming on the show. Well, I've been interacting with Abdul Samad. He is a literacy specialist and a very passionate policy advocate. Stay with us. The show will continue. It's the weekend edition of Good Morning Abuja. We'll take a short break and be right back.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon each and every one of us. It's another fantastic Friday evening, and you're welcome to NTA Channel 5 Abuja.
First of all, you train yourself, you educate yourself, then you educate your family, and then the community at large.
Fundamentals of Islam Live, showing 7:30 p.m. every Friday on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. Join us.
To say our goodbyes on the program. As usual, I remain your host of the most, Omar with Erese, and I'll always be here with my bestie.
Je m'appelle Oguntayo and I'm Posi Justina.
Speaking French now, from Jordan to Sweden.
Adios.
Thank you for staying. And yes, it's the weekend edition of Good Morning Abuja, and we don't leave you without comedy. Up next is Compound Matter. Take a look and make sure you enjoy.
I like you since I love you. And you know that what man like me, I'm going to do where woman dey shoot.
Lalo, there with somebody inside. Wait. Lalo, there with somebody inside. Who be this person? But I know they hear the voice of the lady. No, they call. Which will be this person? I don't know anything. And nobody did this cup handle. I just greet landlady when she dey go shop just now. So landlord get might bring another woman come this house, Abi. What I need to go call that lady. I know a shop now. Why? I'll go call that lady. You will see.
Anything. You know anything.
My sister. Wow.
That's enough. I say you go back. Say this JJ, babe, rascal. I say you didn't see nothing. Wait till you come to my husband inside house. Nothing they happen. Nothing for where you this man.
Wait,
you don't the eye my husband sis.
No. Now Betty coach, she can't give me. Betty coach
that bring come money. Nothing they happen. Officer.
Now code, Betty code.
Officer, beg.
Wow.
I'm not look me like that. Why you look me like that? You can't do anything.
Now Betty code.
I don't do anything. Now code I can't give Oga.
Now Betty code.
They inside there.
Now coach you can't give nothing.
I can't give am. See officer. Sorry, man, please excuse me.
What is happening in this compound again?
Now Betty code. You can't give me.
What is happening? I don't tired. Okay, now because of me, you can't let us for this place. Officer, what is happening in this compound?
Officer, I will explain. She came to my house to give me code.
Which code?
Betting code.
Simple.
There's one
landlord. You're a liar. Shut up your mouth. Landlord, I hear something. Quiet, pinch my ear. I hear something. I said quiet.
Anything you hear na code.
Who is constituting a nuisance in this compound? Nobody. See her here. No, wait, I don't understand. You want to arrest my sister?
Well, lady, no.
I will change that because of your sister. You want to arrest my sister? Hello. I will change that for you. That's what you did. I don't understand. Now you get landlord. So you be the landlord. Last time you be the my husband. All right, welcome back there. Up next is our movie for the week, our movie thriller selections that we have carefully selected for your weekend delight. Why don't you take a look at them and make up your mind which one you'd like to watch?
How long have you been there?
Well, long enough to see your beautiful face.
You really do have lines, don't you?
Yeah, I know we've not exactly been on good terms. And in some parts, I've been rude to you.
Are you alright? You look worried.
Yeah, I'm worried about you.
But the real question, Jason, is... Your boy is Anzu.
He's not my bubble.
You think I don't know that he's your bubble? Oh,
tell me.
Mommy, make my nurse. I was just giving her CPR.
Nurse. CPR.
Yeah. Let me think of a plan.
Shut up!
Jason, please stop. Well done. What did you say?
I totally misjudged you, but knowing you now, you're amazing.
Do you think you will ever love someone again?
I haven't really been lucky with that thing called love.
I don't think you get lucky. I think you get intentional.
All I requested was that you don't hurt me. But I'm guessing that wasn't enough.
What if I said I'm sorry? What if I make a scene?
It's all about you. All the damn time.
What are you on about?
Talk about yourself a music event on her daughter's birthday.
A rebellious, rude, recalcitrant teenager. Thank you very much.
I just really want to apologize for what happened. This doesn't really... I mean, this is too serious.
New mixes of mood music. I need a theme. Theme music.
Wake up, y'all. The king's here.
Got to pay back.
Buying back, stacking his records.
It's a lot of money.
There's more to life than just making money. It's integrity. That's what you stand for.
What you think? I think you gotta be a little crazy sometimes in this world to get what you want.
King David, now ain't this something? I got your full attention now, huh? You finally listening to me.
Somebody's got Trey.
What do you mean
Somebody's kidnapped our son.
$17.5 million in an all-black Jordan backpack. Try me if you think I'm playing.
I ain't got.
Back out the trunk from the front. 11 a.m. board the 4 train on the money-making Manhattan.
You let him go, I make sure you set free.
It's too late for all that.
It's never too late.
You're not God no more, nigga. I am. 35, and I'm still a pretty guy. I gotta feed the streets, my lady, and a newborn kid. And I ain't trying to go back and do another bid, you dig?
I know what it is to risk everything you have for something that you want. I know what that means, to have nothing and want everything.
What is that? Insurance. That's Jake from State Farm.
Shout out to my felons, boy, we caught another felony. Shout out to my felons, boy, we caught another felony. Shout out to my felons, boy.
I can't go out like this, you know that.
Shout out to my felons. Well, then his blood is gonna be on your hands then. Pack out the trunk.
Oh, you wanna do this? I got into this by myself. I'm gonna get out of it by myself.
Where's my money? I got the 4-pounder sitting right here. Don't try nothing funny.
There you have them, our movies for your weekend delight. I think I'll watch Casanova. Yeah, the Nigerian one there. I think I'll just snuggle up in front of my TV and have quality time with my family and friends this weekend watching that movie. What will the weather be like in and around Abuja? It's been raining cats and dogs, sometimes a little bit of moist. But let's take a look at the weather report for today. The weather report there wraps it up. And I would like to add a little bit that you may want to tuck another umbrella with you. You never just know. The weather has been so unstable. You never know the next minute the sun is shining and all of a sudden it's raining heavily. So tuck a little umbrella with you if you might be going out for the weekend. And yes, that wraps it up on the show this week. It has been exciting and fun bringing it to you. Right now, it's time for me to step aside so that you can enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend. Make it a good one. Don't forget to prioritize your rest so that you can be, energized for the new week that is coming up ahead. Join us again on Monday. My name is Nneka Igwe. It has been Good Morning Abuja on the Unity Station. I'll see you again very soon. Be blessed and bye for now.
your delightful moments via a telecast. Tell the world what gave you your happiness or pains, and for the how, where, and why. Share your joys of coronation, chieftaincy honors, engagement parties, traditional wedding ceremonies, weddings fatiha, nikah, naming ceremony church programs, housewarming, inaugurations, award nights, school and social events, or moments of grief like burial ceremonies with many others. Don't let your events pass and your story not be told on Memories every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on this station. Memories, making your events memorable.